Hey, who wants a ride tip for Steel Vengeance? I know you do, that's why you're here, right? Anyway, this is going to start being a tip-based thing per roller coaster as I get new tips and new things I learn on the roller coasters. Is I tend to ride and just learn new things and how it works and how to be a better guest all the time. So I figured I'd share Steel Vengeance first. So you're probably wondering, what's the tip? Get on with it. Well, not quite yet. As you know, any RMC, you're not allowed to bring the phone in the station, so we're just going to have to watch video footage I've got of the ride over the past year. Anyway, my tip is about your restraints. You know how we all come into the station, train finally finds home, and immediately ride up starts telling us to lift our restraints, lift our restraints. Well, they know very well the restraint's not going to come up. So we all sit there pushing at a restraint that isn't about to come up. So my tip is, when you see the air gates start to open, then you can lift up on your restraint. Yes, your restraint was unlocked probably a second or two before the air gates started to open, but usually Steel Vengeance's ops runs their trains in such a way that as soon as the air gates open, you can lift your restraint. In fact, most coasters run that way. Occasionally you'll find a coaster where ops isn't quite on the top of their game and they release the restraint, then wait 5-6 seconds. Maybe they had a bad guest who were just causing problems, but normally the restraints are going to unlock, the air gates are going to open. Well, that was it. That was the tip. Now for the more nerdy among us who want to figure out how I got here, I'll share my process over the past year on how I got here. So the first thing I try to do is, sometimes with hydraulic restraint rides, if you have your hand in just the right spot on the restraint, you can kind of feel a little pop and then you know to lift it. Well, unless you have your hands in just the right spot, I realized you can't do that. So no point in doing that. The next thing I tried was the little indicator lights. Looking at the indicator lights, obviously when your restraint is closed and locked, the light turns green. If it's not, and you're in the station, the light is dark, it's not on. And as soon as your train leaves the station, all the green lights go back to dark. And when your train comes back in, those lights will again flash so that you know that you're in the station, your train is home, it's now ready to unlock. Unfortunately, that can only be seen from the first coach, so if you're back in the second part of the coach, you can't see that. So even had I figured that out completely, it wouldn't have mattered because you can only see if you're in the first row of that coach. You can't see in the second row. I'm like, okay, well, that don't quite work. One day I was looking up on Steel Vengeance and I saw the activator, this white activator go up. I'm like, I wonder if that's what activates the restraint. So I kept watching, and I would notice one time the activator went up and I actually watched the restraint open as somebody pushed the restraint up. I'm like, okay, that's the activator. That's what it is. Okay. Next thing you know, I look up and I'm like, I noticed the air gates move right as the activated the restraint. I'm like, okay, and I watched a few more times and I get it up on the platform. I'm like, yep, that's what we gotta do. Just wait 2 or 3 seconds, air gates open, your restraint, like I said, was already unlocked, but that's your cue that you know it's unlocked. You don't have to sit there and push on it. But I also noticed while you're under there, especially on Steel Vengeance, if you look carefully, you can actually see the rod that goes in to extend and goes back in when the restraint's locked that links to hydraulics. So you can kind of see the hydraulics there. It's cool. So now every time I ride Steel Vengeance or an RMC like that, I just wait for that to happen. Air gates start to open, I push up the restraint, and out of the train I am. And I'm sure this whole process wouldn't have taken the month it took if I'd have just asked my friend who knows a thing or two about this, but I don't like to ask them. I like to figure it out for myself. I just think it's more fun and more enriching for me to try to get the answer for myself, but I do get stumped. And when I get stumped, he's the first person I ask. So these tips will come up from time to time as I have something I think I can share. As some of my tips, like I said, may or may not be best practices, so I'm not entirely sure if they should be shared, like the unbuckling of your seatbelt behind the station. I do that simply because I know I can't ride the ride again unless I go through the station, in which case I'll have to unlock my restraint and relock my restraint, so I'll have another chance to get the seatbelt on. And I've been in situations where you get way too much airtime without a seatbelt, so I respect that little seatbelt now. It's very important. I didn't think it was but it is very important. It's an extra layer of safety that keeps you from, well, departing the train earlier than expected. Let's put it that way. Anyway, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. I have some videos on Siren's Curse, and I'm also some videos about rumors. I'm starting to do a few of those as they come up. Anyway, thanks. Have a great day. Watch more videos of mine.